All right, guys, welcome back to class 2. I'm going to start from where we left yesterday, right? So this is the agenda for today, right? We are going to install Java and configure Java, okay? So we're going to talk about the Java installation and configuration. We're going to install Eclipse IDE. We're going to write a basic Java program and understand what is happening within Eclipse with the Java program that we will be writing. Then we are going to create a class and understand what is a main method. We'll create a simple program to add numbers in main method. What are Java packages and how to create sub packages. We will learn that. Then we will start with variables and constants. We will understand primitive and non-primitive data type. We'll understand different type of operators like mathematical, conditional, and self-incremental. We will learn about arrays. We will learn about loops, and then we will learn about something called as var args. Okay, this is what we are going to cover in next 2 hours. I hope we should be able to cover that. So let's get started with Java installation. I'll put this in presentation mode. Yesterday I was recording this in Windows, but I think I'm better with Mac. So this is my Mac machine. Things will be a little different in Windows and Mac. So what I will probably do is I will take control of your system, any one of your system, and then probably try to help you installing the Java into your system. By doing so, what will happen is everybody will be able to understand how to do it in their Windows system. And for Mac, I can anyway show it to you here. That's fine. So let's look at the installation. First and foremost, you need to go to this particular URL, which I have mentioned in my presentation. You go to this guy here, and then ideally you will come to this particular site. I have yesterday explained you about the difference of JDK and JRE. So you see that in this particular section, it is asking you whether I want to install a JDK, a server JRE, or a JRE. I told you that why do I need a JDK? Because we are going to work as a developer, as an automation test developer. We are going to develop Java applications or Java program. So we need a JDK. We just don't want to run it, right? So I'm going to basically download this into one of your system and then install it. So once you actually come into this JDK section, you see that I have told you yesterday that Java is a platform independent language. Why it is platform independent? If you actually remember the class 1 that I have actually explained to you, where is that? Right here, right? I told you that Java virtual machine is basically platform independent, and it sits on top of our operating system, whether it is Mac or Unix or Windows. So which means that there is a specific version of Java virtual machine is what you need to install depending on what kind of operating system you're using. Pretty simple, right? So on that ground, if you actually see now, just a minute. Okay, on that ground, if you actually see now, I have to install the Java depending on which operating system I'm using. So here I have Mac, okay, but I'm not going to install it because I've already installed it in my system. That's fine. But for your system, you should be able to download a Windows or a Windows 86 or 64. 86 means 32-bit or 64-bit, depending on what kind of architecture you have in your system. So once you have installed, once you are downloading it, it's a pretty simple, it's a normal exe file for Windows. It's a normal exe file, and you just say next, 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 and you install it, okay? Once you're done with the installation, you need to basically configure your Java into your system so that you can access Java from anywhere in the application, okay? So in Windows, there are different drives, and from any drives, you should be able to access Java is what we are trying to achieve here, okay? So can you guys, one of you guys, can you tell me who is to share the screen, and I will basically share the screen, and then I'm going to help them installing the Java so that everybody can actually see it in Windows, because I am pretty sure most of us are using Windows here. Who wants to do that? Can you put that on the chat? Dipanita or Shaul having Java in your system? Can you hear me? Okay, you have already installed. Anybody else who didn't install? Okay, is that any version specific? No, it's not a version specific. That's good, Charlie. Is that okay if I can take control of your system and help you installing Java? Will that be fine? I'm going to just take the remote of your system and get it done. Have you joined from the laptop or you're joining from your mobile device? Um, well, that's okay. No problem at all. That's okay. No problem at all. I actually wanted to record this section, and that's the reason why I was thinking if anybody is there who can, who don't have Java, and I can help installing them. What about Ashish? Do you have Java in your system?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. And is it configured for global configuration?
Yes.
Okay. No, Pavan, I don't want you to uninstall Java, but if you're, are you sure that you have installed Java for into your system globally? So Vidya, global configuration means that you need to go to the advanced settings of Windows and you need to set up your environment variable. That is what a global configuration means. Okay, so Pavan, you already did that. That's fine. What about Vidya? Did you do it? Do you already have it? Okay. So I think then everybody understand what is global configuration means. So basically you are setting it up in the global environment variables in Windows so that from any drive you can do it. You can actually trigger a Java command, right? That is what it's all about. So that's fine. So ideally, at the end of the day, when you are in your this is a iTerm or Mac terminal. So when you basically say Java space minus version from any drive, you should be able to see that a Java version is popped in. Okay. So yeah, Liliana, I think you somehow got disconnected. Yeah, you can go to Vidya. You can go to C drive or D drive in your Windows command prompt, and then you can just say Java space minus version. If you do that, you should be able to see the version that you have installed. I'm expecting that you should at least have version 8 or more. If you have it, then we are good. Okay, I'm going to move on. That's fine. I'll just progress. I'm considering that everybody is having Java installed in their system. That is fine. So now that we have Java in our system, okay, I have mentioned it here. I think. Yeah, hi Raj. So we are right now installing Java in our system so that we can trigger Java from any drive, right? So today I'm using Mac, and I'm planning to use Mac now for the entire course. So I was actually asking anybody in the class if they don't have Java installed in their Windows system, then probably we can get it done, and it will be globally configured for your system. That's what I was asking for. Do you have Java installed in your system, Raj? Um, okay, Vidya, it is 1.7.0. I think that means it is not 1.8. So it's better that you should actually upgrade it to 1.8. Okay. That's fine. We can do that later. But I think most of us, we have we have Java installed. So I think we are covered. If anybody requires that, I can get it done later on after the class itself. Not a problem. So there are two ways you can actually set up the Java program. One is through the environment variable. Another one is through the bash profile in Mac. So for me, it is already done. I'm not going to do it again. That's fine. Let's move on to the next one. Installing Eclipse. Eclipse is an IDE, right? Yesterday you saw that we were writing our Java program or a simple script inside inside a text file, right? So if you actually see it here, I was writing it in a text file like this. We were saying this is the class, and then we were basically writing a text file like this, right, in Windows. So you can create a Java program in a normal simple text file. That's totally fine, but that will not be working out for you when you are working in a large scale project. You will not be able to manage all the files required through just a simple text file. You can actually do that, but it's not manageable. So that's why we have what you call as IDE, right? We have IDE here. Just a minute. And it will basically give you a lot of options in terms of editing the code and debugging the code. Okay, so managing this file using text editor becomes painful. That's the reason. That's the reason we need to have the Eclipse, and Eclipse also comes with something called as you will know this. Start working on it, IntelliSense, and in the IntelliSense, actually, you will also see something called as, you will also use something called as watch, which is a part of debugging. So we will use these different features from Eclipse, and that will help us with the development, right? So you can basically download Eclipse from this particular link. You go in here, and you can just simply download the Eclipse in your system. I have Mac, so obviously I have downloaded the Mac version of it. It's a normal installation like any other software, and you can do that. JEE Neon. I will not suggest that, Raj. I will suggest you to uninstall it, get a latest one, because I want everybody to be in the same page. So it's better that you uninstall it, and then Neon is pretty old, actually, if you ask me. Get something which is latest. Yeah. If you have any problem in terms of installing it later on, I can help you do that. But it's a very simple installation. You just go here, download it. If you have already Java installed in your system, so Eclipse can be easily installed, not a problem at all, right? Okay, that's that. So, sorry, I'm working here. Okay. So now let's first understand the Eclipse layout. Okay, what is Eclipse and what is the layout that we have? Okay, let us Eclipse ID is JE2019. Yeah, you can try that. Actually, when you install Eclipse, let me show that to you. when you install Eclipse, I don't know if I will be able to show that. You will be actually getting an option to install it as a Java developer. Okay, not JEE. I think it is Java developer. Something there is an option. You please install through that. That is a version that I have installed, and it has got all the required options for development. Okay, so use that. All right. So now, mm, okay. So let's first understand the Eclipse layout. Okay. I'm going to open my Eclipse. Right. Actually, you know what? I will close this guy and open up a new Eclipse. Okay. So when I am opening up Eclipse, it will ask me for something called as Workspace. Okay. What is Workspace? Workspace is nothing but a workbench, which means it is a folder inside which you are going to keep all your Java projects. That is what a workspace means. So I can create a workspace right here, and then I can launch the Eclipse from start, right? So what I will do is I'm going to say browse, and I'm going to give a name to it. So I will say that, okay, here itself, I can create a uh, okay, users, just 1 minute. I'm not getting the new folder option. Here you go. Okay, now I'm going to say that here I'm going to say a new folder, and I'm going to say Wisdom QA December 19, right? That is the folder name that I've given. And this is the folder which is my actual project. Okay, another person is joining. Yeah, Pawan, I think you were disconnected somehow. No, I see two Pawan Kumar. Not sure why. Are you joining from two different devices? Um, okay. I don't know why you need that, but anyway, that's fine. So I have the Wisdom QA December 19. That's the project that I have opened. I mean, folder that I have opened. This is my workspace. Inside this particular workspace, I will create all the projects that we will be working in our entire series, right? So I say open, and I say launch. So when I say launch, you will see that Eclipse will be opening up with a blank workspace. There's the welcome screen, not to bother at all. And this is the layout that I was talking about, okay? So on the right-hand side, you have task list, you have outline. You don't need this, guys. I can cross it out. Okay, this is mostly used by, I mean, it helps you to be more, efficient when you are working as a developer. But for us, I don't really think that those layouts are important. So I'll cross out all different layouts that are part of this guy. And this is the layout that you see here, okay? On the right-hand side, you will be able to write your code. On the left-hand side, it's basically your project explorer, where you are going to keep all your projects, okay? So this is my this is my blank workspace. On the top, I have a lot of options like file, edit, refactor. I will go through them later on, that's fine. So that's okay, Pavan. So I'm going to create a Java project here, very simple. And I'm going to give it a name to it. I'll say first project. Okay. Or Yeah, first project should be fine. So now see, this is a particular wizard that Eclipse is showing me. In this wizard, what is the information I have to feed in? I have to feed in the project name. Okay, that is the name of the project in which we'll keep our Java files. And then it says that what kind of JRE you are actually going to use in order to run the Java program. Okay, what kind of JRE? So the point is that inside JDK, I have explained yesterday, inside JDK itself, we have JRE. Okay, so I have to choose that which version of JRE I'm trying to use. So by default, it is showing 12 because that is what is installed for me. If I want, I can actually go down as well. I don't want to do that, right? I'm in my latest version. That's fine. And then I say finish. Once I do that, you will see that okay, it's giving me an option called create module info.java. You don't need that. Don't create. Okay, just don't create this. So I have just created a simple Java project in my project explorer. If I expand this guy, you will see some information coming up. What is the first information? It says JRE system library. I explained to you yesterday that how JRE is, how JVM and some extra set of files or extra set of library together becomes JRE. So these are different files or different jar files. Okay, I'll talk about jar files later on, which actually jar files is nothing but compressed version of Java files is basically jar file. Okay, you can say zipped version of 10 different Java file is basically a jar file. So all these jar files are added as a part of JRE, which is added to your project. Now with the help of these different, if you actually see here, you see library Java virtual machines open JDK. Do you see that? So everything is within that JVM and other set of libraries, which basically makes your JRE, right? Which I have added to my project. That's fine. So this icon that you see here is it's like a library. So this is an internal library. JRE is an internal library for the project. Later on, we will see that we will add external libraries as well. There is a way you can add external libraries as well. That's fine. And then we have a source folder. Inside the source folder, I'm going to create our Java classes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new package. I will talk about a package in some time, but I'll just give a name to this packet called test. You can give any name you want to. By default, you should give the name of the package in lowercase. Okay, Java is a case sensitive language, guys, so you have to understand that whatever case you use, you have to maintain that case forever. Okay, otherwise Java will complain. So I say test and then I say finish. So this is a test package. I'm getting a question. Let me handle that. Okay. That's fine. That's fine, Pavan. So you're going to work with laptop or you're going to work with your mobile? So Raj, you have to install just JDK. You don't have to install JRE. I have explained this yesterday that JDK comes with JRE. If you actually remember the diagram which I have shown you yesterday, where is that diagram? I think, okay, I think I've closed it. But if you remember, I've shown you that JDK comes with JRE. So if you install JDK, you are good. Okay. Pavan, I'm not really understanding what is that you're trying to say. Are you joining from mobile or are you joining from laptop?
Yeah, right now I'm in laptop, and just for in between 10-15 minutes, I'll go through this mobile because just I need to go outside and come back.
That's fine, totally fine, no problem at all.
So do you want me to log out from the system till I come back?
No, it's okay, no problem at all. That's fine.
Thank you.
All right. So now in this package in Java is actually nothing but a directory or a folder. Um, I'm going to create a new class file. Okay. So in the class file, I'm going to give a name of the class file. You remember I told you the file name and the class file name should be same. So I'm going to say test Java, normal, just a simple any name you can give. And in this wizard, I can just check this button saying that public static void main. So it says which method stubs would you like to create? So I want to create a main method by default. So I just created that and say finish. Okay. So once I do that, you see on the right hand side that I have created a simple Java file. Okay. This Java file is not going to do anything because within the main method there is nothing that I have scripted. So if I run this file, nothing will happen. But actually, I want to show you something. That is, I want to take you to the location where this particular first project um, is located. Okay, so I can actually go in here and I can say show in Project Explorer or System Explorer. Okay, if I click on this, so you see I am in this location, say first project. Okay, if I open this up, there are two different folders which you can see here. One is called bin, another one is called src. In the project explorer of Eclipse, I can definitely see src, but I don't see bin. Okay, let's go inside src. If I go inside src, I see a test folder. If you see the package name, it is also test. So package is nothing but a folder from, okay, somebody is not in mute. Let me mute everybody. Okay. So test is nothing but a folder. Okay. If I actually go inside the test, I will see testjava.java file. Totally fine. We understand that. But now if I go back to this particular folder inside first project, I see a bin folder. What is bin folder? So bin folder is basically the compiled version of your entire project. So Eclipse is smart enough to compile the entire project so that it can be executable, so that we can trigger the project right from here without compiling it separately. If you remember yesterday, I had to run Java C command to compile a particular Java file. I don't need to do that here in Eclipse. Eclipse is smart enough to do that by itself. I can prove that to you. If you go inside the bin folder, you still have a test folder. Bin is going to be the mirror image of src. Okay. If I go inside the test folder, you will see that there is a compiled version of test Java file. And if I try to open this up, open with, actually I should be opening it with Sublime Text, but this guy don't give me the option. Let me open it up just like that. Can I open it? No. Let me try to show it to you. Yeah, you cannot launch it directly in Mac. So I'll just try to drag and drop here. You see that? You see that? It's all bytecode. So entire .java file, it's converted to a bytecode, which is what is going to be executed by the operating system, because operating system don't understand the English version of your script. right? Any question on this particular section? Any questions, guys? Just put that on the chat if you don't have to say yes or no. That's it. Because it's highly important for you to understand how Java works. Okay. What about others? Only Eclipse can read, am I right? What do you mean only Eclipse can read? Okay, Eclipse is nothing but an IDE, right? Integrated development environment where you are going to write your Java program. Okay, at the end of the day, it is a .java file. Eclipse is doing only one more step. Okay, it is auto compiling by itself. Java file, and Eclipse itself will convert it for you so that you can start running it. How do you run it? Very simple. Okay, I'm going to just write a quick system.out.println. Okay, just see this. I wrote this 4-character SYSO, and in my Mac, I'm hitting Control and space. In your Windows, you should be hitting I think Shift and space. And if you do that, what will happen is it will be auto completed for you. Just 1 minute. Okay, it will be auto completed for you. Okay, so this is what Eclipse does. It has IntelliSense. It will suggest you with different solutions so that your development experience is better, right? So I'm going to write the text saying hello world, right? And once I am done with this, I am going to run this program. Okay, so how do I run this program? There is a play button here. Okay, I'm running this program through Eclipse. Yesterday I have shown you that I can run the program through Java command, right? But I'm not doing that here. I'm running it through Eclipse IDE itself. How can I do that? I can just say here, run as Java application. And if I do that, you see in the console below, a console is just populated from the into the bottom section here, which basically shows the text hello world. So this entire section which I'm trying to show you here is that you can write a Java program in Eclipse IDE. Eclipse will auto compile it, and then you can trigger it from your Eclipse. That is what I was trying to focus here. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to move to the next section here. Okay. Creating a class with a main method. I have already done that. I've created a class. I have said project src, right click and new class. I've created a new class. I've created a class name, given a class name, and .java file got created. And then I also showed you that how it is getting converted to a .class file. So I have completed this particular screen here. Okay, let's create a simple program to add numbers. Okay, very simple program. How can I do that? I can simply go back to my screen here. I can create 2 variables. I will talk about variables in details, but for now, I'm going to create 2 variables here. Okay, I'm getting some chat. Okay, sure. I will just increase the font size. Just give me a minute. Window appearances. Is that better? Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm going to add two numbers. Very simple. I'm creating a variable. I'm saying int num1. What is int? What is num? I'll explain that to you in a minute. But for now, just think that it is, I'm just trying to create a variable to hold some values. So int num10, int num2 equals to 20. And I'm going to add these two numbers. Simple. So what I will do is I'm going to use an operator, additional operator, to add these two values and then print the result. Okay. So num1 plus num2. Very simple program. Okay. I'm saving this. You have to save it. Once you're done with saving, you can, for saving, you can say Control S in Windows. You can just trigger the run. How you can run it? You can right click on the Java file itself and you can say run as Java application. That's how you trigger a Java application through your Eclipse ID. When I run it, I get the answer as 30. I'm just trying to give you a very simple understanding how to write a very, very basic program in Eclipse IDE here. Okay. And then we will slowly build on top of it. Okay, that's a simple program that we have written. Now we start with main method. Understanding a main method. Okay, what is a main method? Main method is basically a starting point to the Java program, which means in your Java class. So in this particular IDE, yes, Raj, we always start with the class because class is your basic template in which you can start working. I mean, you can start writing your code. So you start with class, right? Okay. So let's try to understand what is a main method. I'm going to actually create another class file. So how to do that? Right click on the package, new class. Okay, simple. Give a class name. I'm going to say a class name as Java test 2. I can give any name. It is always preferable to start the class name with capital letter. Okay. And I'm giving a normal main method, a blank main method. And this is what the main method is. This is a comment. Leave the comment. I'm going to delete that. So this is basically a normal main method. What is a main method? So main method is basically the starting point for your Java program. So when you actually hit the run button here, run as Java application, when you do this, what is happening is JVM is trying to look for a main method inside your class. Okay, and then it starts the execution. Okay, I'm going to create another method here just for the sake of showing it to you or proving it to you. I'm going to create another method here with a different name, not a main method. I'm going to say duplicate, right? I just give a name to this method. Simple. I have a main method, I have a duplicate method. I'm going to say sysout. I'm going to say this is main, and this is duplicate, right? I have two different methods here. Perfectly fine. If I just try to run this, you will see that the second method is not getting executed, but the first method will be executed because JVM is configured in such a way that it has to look for a main method with exact same format. So If I just run this, you see, this is main. This text got printed, not this, which means JVM looked for main method, and it's just not any main method. If I say a main method, again, sorry, if I say a main method without the same format, let's try to do that. Okay. And this is main2. And then if I try to run this again, you see, it exactly looks for this particular main method that has an argument of strings, array of strings, and that's where it will be called and it will be printed. So JVM is configured in such a way that a main method with this particular structure will be looked for, and then it will be executed. Simple as that. So let's move on to the details here. So main method is starting point, as I just mentioned. The main method accepts array of string as an argument, which means it can accept comma separated multiple string within the method. Okay, it can basically add, you can basically pass on different names inside, different values inside this main method. I think yesterday I have shown this to you in the class itself when I was executing the main method from a command prompt, and I was able to pass some additional arguments, and all those arguments were sent inside the main method. Any syntax between the scope of the main method gets executed as a part of the main method execution. Okay, what is the scope? In Java, every component will have a scope. What do you mean by that? This guy right here, I'll just remove everything. This guy right here, a class file, a class, it is having a scope which starts from a flower brace from here to here. Anything in between the class scope is known as class members. Okay, let's talk about the method. These are methods. Every method is also having a similar structure, which means they also have scopes. Flower brace, start and end, whatever is there within the scope of the method is very much local to that particular method itself. Whatever is between the scope of the method remains within the method, which means if I am creating a variable, say int num, and giving some value to it, this num variable, I will not be able to access it inside this method duplicate. So if I say sysout num, I will not be able to do that. It's giving me an error. If I hover on top of it, it shows num cannot be resolved to a variable, because obviously the num variable is defined inside the scope of main method, and the life of that variable ends there. It is not passed on to any other method. Okay, so everybody has a scope, and that scope is very much local to itself. Every component in Java will have a scope. Okay, so let's move on to the next section here. Java packages and sub packages. Okay, I've already explained how to create a package. Package in Java is used to encapsulate a group of classes, sub packages, and interfaces. Okay, packages are nothing but directories or folder. I've explained that to you already. Packages are used for preventing naming conflicts. sorry, preventing naming conflict. It means two or more different packages can hold class with same name, obviously, right? Because if you actually go back to your Eclipse, I have a package called test. Okay, I'm going to create another package, new package. I'm going to name the package called test2. Finish. Different package altogether. So I can create another class file with the same name here. So Command C, Command V. So I am actually copied that same class file inside this particular test2 package. Now, if you actually see something here, this guy test Java test2, it is the first line shows package test, which means the class Java test2 is inside the package test. However, Java test2 package class over here is inside a different package called test2, right? This class file is inside a different package, and this class file is inside a different package. This is what is called resolving naming conflicts, which means you can keep the same class file in two different packages. Obviously, you know that. I mean, in a normal system explorer, you in two different folders, you can have same file, no problem at all, right? So that's the same concept here. No problem, no difference in that. Searching items easier. Locating class interfaces nums can be easily done, because obviously if you are creating a package, you will create a package with, logically, right? You will create a package logically. So you will group your package in a logical format. So you want to say, create a package. So actually I want to show you something inside the system library that we have. No, they don't have a package here. That's fine. They're all jar files. That's fine. But later on, you will see how packages are grouped together. So what I mean by that is you can create different packages depending on what kind of files you want to keep. So for example, you're creating a banking application. So you can create a package. I'm going to rename this package. I'll say to rename anything in Java project, you should use the option called refactor. So refactor and then rename. Okay, so suppose you're creating a banking application. In this banking application, you are creating a package for, say, fund transfer, and okay, and continue. And then you're creating another package, say, not new, but refactor rename. And I'm going to say this as get or add beneficiary. Okay, add beneficiary. So basically, these are two different packages I have created depending on what kind of application I'm creating. So fund transfer package will keep all the files related to fund transfer feature, and add beneficiary will keep all the files related to add beneficiary feature. Simple. So that's that. Okay. Now, how can I create? Okay, the last option is saying providing access control. I will explain this option later on when I talk about protected access specifier, but not now. You will be confused. So how can you create a sub package? Creating a sub package is very simple. All you have to do is you have to say new package, and you can say add beneficiary dot, okay, say I don't have a proper name, so I'm just giving say report, okay, and say finish. If I click on this, by adding that dot in between, add beneficiary dot, which means this report package is created under add beneficiary package. I can prove that to you. If I actually go inside the System Explorer, you will see inside the first project, binary, add beneficiary. Inside add beneficiary, I have a report folder, which is basically a report package inside add beneficiary package, correct? So you can create as many as subfolders or sub-packages inside a package. The whole idea of creating a package is basically to keep your files organized, because that's why we have directories, right? Directories are kept because you want to keep your files organized. The same concept goes with Java as well. We are trying to keep our files organized, okay? So let's move on to the next part. I'm going to start with variables and constants, but before I move on, any questions, guys? Any questions? No, Pavan. Packages are not camel cased. They are all in lowercase, always. Classes are camel cased. I mean, not camel cased actually. It starts with capital letter, and then camel casing starts. Right? So every new word basically starts with capital letter when you are defining a class. Okay. Any other question? Anybody else, guys? Any other question? Okay. Why do we use add beneficiary dot report? As I said, Dipanita, add beneficiary dot report is just a package I have created. So report is a folder which is inside the add beneficiary folder. It is just an example I have taken. I'm trying to show you here that you can create a folder within a folder. Similarly, you can create a package within a package. Right? That's it. Packages are only there in order to make your class files organized. Any other question? Liliana, Ashish, Vidya, Shantanu. Shantanu, I'm not hearing from you at all. So does that mean that you're understanding every one of these guys, or you want me to explain something? Shantanu, are you there? Okay, all right. It's better if you show some short program for us to write. Packages are... Yes, Vidya, packages acts like a folder. That's it. So Ashish, those short programs that you're talking about, I will send that to you as a part of assignments. Okay. All right. But I'm trying to understand as a part of concept, like from concept perspective, are you guys able to understand the concept properly or not? Okay. All right. All right, fine. So let's get started with variables. All right, no problem at all. So variable is name of a reserved area allocated in the memory. What memory? I'm talking about RAM. Okay, so every system we have a RAM, random access memory. inside that memory, we are creating a reserved space for a variable, right? We're going to create a reserved space for a variable, and that variable is created in order to hold some value, right? So a variable is assigned with the data type, which means it can store a specific type of value. So how do you create a variable in Java? It's very simple. You say int. Int means integer. You're trying to store an integer type of variable. The name of the variable is number, as I'm showing you here, and then you're assigning a value to it. The value is 10. So the first part is int, which is a data type. You're trying to say what type of data you're trying to store. So it is int, perfectly fine. And then you're going to give the name of the variable, because that's how the compiler will know that, okay, there is a variable called number, and there is an address to it. That particular variable is located in this particular location in the RAM, and then it has a value, which is 10. That's how the address will be registered for the compiler. Okay. Getting questions. How many data are available? Everything is coming up, Rajesh. Everything is going to come back. I'm going to go in details to that. Don't worry. Okay. So data types. Note that the value in the variable can change. That is why it is a variable, which means the value that you are assigning to the number variable here can be updated to a different value depending on your requirement. On the other hand, we have constant. So constant is basically means that it is also storing a value in a specific location in the memory, but with constant, you will not be able to update that value anymore. So you will only use constant in a situation where you know that particular value is not supposed to be changed, right? So how do you create a constant? You create a constant with a keyword called final, and then you basically give the data type. So for this scenario, it is double. Double means it is going to hold a decimal number, okay? And then you're giving the name of the variable or the constant as pi. You know the pi value is 3.14, and that is constant always. So which is why I can say that this value will never change, which is why I have added a keyword in front of the variable saying final, which means it will never be changed. Okay. So I'm going to go to the next topic here, which is deeper dive onto data types. So Java allows to store different type of data types, and they are basically primitive and non-primitive. Okay, what is primitive? So primitive data types are predefined data types, or it is the basic data type which Java will offer you out of the box. So when Java was created, the developers of Java language, I mean, in every programming language, you will see that there is a variable. The variables are used because you want your developers to hold some value for the program when they're writing the program. That's why we use variables. So when Java was created initially, out of the box, they came up with primitive data types. So they figured that as a Java developer, you will need to keep or store the value for numbers, for decimal, for character, and for Boolean. Okay, so that is why they gave predefined data types to us, and we call it as primitive. So for integer, there are 4 different data types that you can use only to hold a number: byte, short, int, and long. Okay, these are 4 different data types that we are only using to hold integers. Then we have decimal. In decimal, we have float and double. Then we have character. Character means you can just store one single character at a time. And then we have Boolean. Boolean means you're going to store only true or false. So I'm going to just do this entire thing into Eclipse. So let us go back to Eclipse, and I will actually, this is a test project. I'm going to create a new Java project, and let's say this as data types, or understanding or handling data types. That's the name of the project. Say finish, don't create. So I have this particular project here called data types, and I'm going to close all other text that were there from the first project. So here I'm going to create a new package, and I'll keep the name of the package as Java Basics. So it should be all in lowercase, simple. Finish. Okay, once I have that there, I can create a new class file. So I'll say class, and I'm going to say test data types. Right? I'm going to put it with the main method and say finish. Simple class file. We all have seen that earlier as well. No problem in that. So I'm going to start writing some text here inside the main method. So by hitting // you can basically start writing a comment. So I'm going to say understanding data types, or primitive data types. Primitive. You know what? Let's not do it like this. I'll just say primitive and non-primitive. Primitive data types. Okay. This is a normal comment. Comment means this particular line will be ignored by the compiler. It is just a normal text, and it has nothing to do with your actual coding. Okay. So here I'm going to now write my data type first. I'll say byte, and I'll give a value to it, num1. I'm going to give some information or add some information here, 10, and then byte, and then we have int, short, num2, int num3, and long num4. So ideally, what am I doing here is I'm using byte, short, int, and long. All of these guys are there to hold integer type of value. Okay. But the question is, you must be asking me a question that why do I actually need same data type to hold numbers? Why do I need that? Because I can only have int or long, and that should suffice my requirement. But why do I have 4 different data types only to hold int? So the answer can be actually given to you in the next slide, which is here. Why so many data types to store same type of data? The reason for that is every of these guys, byte, short, int, long, they have a specific size a specific range. So byte has 8 bits of size, short 16 bits, int 32 bits, and long 64 bits. So depending on a requirement, you will choose the data type. That means if I have to store the age of a person, it is not wise to use int, because a person can definitely not go beyond 127. The age of a person can not go beyond 127. I mean, that's I think 110 is the maximum lived person is, right? So if you just say 150, this will not work out, because byte do not store beyond 127. That's the range for byte, right? Make sense? Short is a little bit higher than byte, and you can say that batch strength. So in an engineering college or any college, there are different streams, and for a particular year, there are few thousand students gets enrolled, right? So you can say students number. Short is that, and if you actually consult the PPT, you will see that short basically doesn't go beyond 32767. So you can actually say that if I have 35,000 students, I will not be able to put it inside a short. So depending on what type of data you're trying to play with, what is your requirement, whether you're trying to work with the age, you're trying to hold the age of a human being, or you're trying to work with number of students, depending on what is your requirement, you will choose the data type wisely. The reason for that is you will be doing a better memory management. You don't want to create a data type and you just want to store a very small value. You're going to, suppose you are creating a data type variable with data type int or maybe long, and you're just storing the value for an age, right? It doesn't really make sense, right? So anyway, that's the reason why we have so many different type of data types, but doing the same thing. So I'll just keep it 100 here, and there is no problem, and I'll just make this as 30,000, and there will be no problem. Correct? Perfectly fine. How can I print these values? You have already seen that. You can say sys out here, and sys out here, and you can just say student's number, student number, and that's pretty much about it. And you can just say run the program, run as Java application, and that basically gives me the number. No problem at all. Okay, I'm getting some questions. Let me handle that. Right. Can we auto type? What do you mean by that? I mean, depending on what type of data it is, you want to choose the data type, right? No. In Java, we cannot do that. In JavaScript, yes. In JavaScript, you don't say what type of data type you are trying to work with. Okay? Not in Java. In Java, you need to specify what is that value you're trying to store. Okay? Okay, so that's with the integers. So this is basically integers, right? Or for numbers or numeric. And then we have, in the numeric part itself, we have decimal, and for decimal you say float. Okay, float, I can give I don't know, maybe some kind of temperature. Yeah, temperature, and then you can give a value, say 10 point or maybe 20.2 F, Okay, you need to add f as a suffix when you're creating a float variable. When you're creating a float variable, you're going to add f at the very end to say the compiler that this is a decimal type of value, which is from data type float. Again with float, we have different ranges. You see, float is 32 bits and double is 64 bits. So you're absolutely okay with, if you're okay with the range that float is offering, you don't have to go beyond that. Okay, so now just a minute, some more questions. Okay, float is nothing but a variable to store decimal values. There are two types of variables. We saw 4 different variables here only to store integer. Okay, float and double, they store decimal values. That's it. So like this, double temp2, and you can give some value here, 23.5. And for double, you don't need to specify f or d in the end or as a suffix. That's it. Again, float is having a different range, double is having a different range. Depending on what type of data or what is the requirement, it will choose the right data type. That's it. Okay, that's with float. Fine. What else we have? We have character. So character, and you can say char, and you can say char, or char a, and this is the name of the variable char a, and this is going to hold a character, any kind of character. So I say a. This variable will hold a single character. Okay, so I'm getting a question from Raj saying, so float always ends with f, not 2f, f. The value of, okay, so let me actually print the value of float. Sys out. So if I just say temp, and if I run this guy, you see the value that you get is 20.2, a lowercase f. Okay, to say that this variable is of type float. But double doesn't have that. I mean, if I say the double directly here, temp2, I don't have any problem to do that. That's it. Correct? Okay. So that's with that. Character is going to hold a single character. And then we have Boolean. So Boolean status. And this guy holds a value which is either true or false. So you can say true, and I mean, this guy will not accept anything else than true or false, right? So that's that. These are all your primitive data types. Okay. Byte, short, int, float, double, character, and Boolean. That's all your primitive data type. So now, now that we know about primitive data type, we also have something called as a non-primitive data type. So non-primitive data types are not inbuilt data types, unlike primitive ones, right? So non-primitive data type actually don't store the value of the variable. It doesn't store the actual value, but it stores the address of that value. So let me try to explain that to you. I need a paint. Just 1 minute. Online paint. So I want to just draw something so that it makes sense to you. Right. So this is the RAM. That's the RAM. Okay. Inside the RAM, you are creating a variable saying int or you're saying num. Oops. I think I'm choosing the wrong type, sketchy type plain. Okay. So this guy is having a variable saying this value is say 30. That's a variable that we have inside the RAM. This particular value is there. When I'm saying primitive data type, I'm saying int. Can I write a text? Yes. So I'm going to say int num equals 30. That is what is happening. It is basically storing a particular location inside the memory and giving a value to it, which is 30, right? So that is basically a primitive data type. When I say non-primitive data type, and when I say something like integer num2 equals 30, when I say that, it means that there is a location of 30 which is there. Every value that is stored inside the memory is having an address. Every information that is getting stored inside the memory is having an address. So the new variable that you have created with the data type called integer, not int. Int is a primitive, but integer is a non-primitive. Like we have string is a non-primitive. Okay, so this guy, non-primitive data type, integer, also going to work like a primitive data type. It can also store the value, but behind the scene, it is actually not storing the value. It is storing the address of the value. This int guy is actually storing the address of this 30, the location of this 30. However, the num is not storing the address. It is actually having a value called 30. So this guy here is having a name called num. Make sense? Yes, no, maybe, confused? Does it make sense, guys? I got 3 S's. Okay. Yeah, absolutely fine, Raj. No problem at all. So let me get this done again. I will try to erase this. I don't know how to erase this. Clear. Okay. So what I've been trying to say here is that this is my RAM. Oops. That's my RAM. Okay. Inside the RAM, when you are declaring the variable saying int num equals 30, when you're saying this to the compiler, what compiler will do is it will create a location. Sorry. It will create a location in the RAM with a name called num and give the value 30 to it. That is what a primitive data type does. But when we start working with non-primitive data type, which is integer num2 equals 50. When I said that, then in the compiler will not give the name of the value, the location of the value as num2. It will just store the value. It will just 1 minute. It will just put the value in the memory. Obviously, when you're putting a value inside the memory, this guy will have some kind of an address. The address will look like some gibberish character, like something, right? A long alphanumeric string. So ideally, this location is what is stored inside the num2, num2 variable. Num2 variable doesn't store the actual value 50. It stores the location of the value 50. So in turn, you will get to know about the value that is stored inside that location, which is 50. Make sense? Good. So now I'm not hearing back from Vidya. What's up? Are you understanding this? Okay. All right. So now that we have this here, I'm going to talk about integer non-primitive data type. So non-primitive data type, right? In this, I will write something called as integer. Integer is a non-primitive data type. And why do I, again, the question is, if I'm able to store the value of value 30 inside a primitive data type, then why do I have a non-primitive data type? That will be explained later on once we start working with objects. Okay, you will get to know later on. Okay, right at this moment, I don't want to go into that details because it will be confusing for you. Just try to understand that integer is integer with capital I. Integer is a non-primitive data type. I said num2 or not num2. Do we have num2? No, I don't have. That's fine. And then I give a value called 50 here. Okay. And then actually, if I want num2 dot, let's see something. Just trying to find a relevant method to show you some information. So you see that when I'm giving this dot, it is giving me suggestions. It is a feature of Eclipse ID, right? It is called IntelliSense, right? It gives you all the methods relevant to this particular variable. Okay, so let me just try to see something that can give me. No, there was another way to actually get the location of this particular value, which I have to look for one more time. Can you run and show the output? Yeah, absolutely, Vidya. So I'm going to run this guy here, and it'll be exactly as same as your any other integer, right? So I'm going to just run this now. So it gives you 50, no problem at all, right? Because as I said, it is going to store the location of the value 50, but in turn, it actually returns you the 50 because it knows that from where the 50 needs to be fetched, and then it prints. Okay, that's what. So this integer is basically nothing but it's a class. You see, if I hover on top of integer variable here, it says the integer class wraps the value of the primitive data type int in an object. Whatever you see, whatever you are seeing here, this portion is called as Java doc. Okay, so it is going to give you some external information, some additional information. Okay, so anyway, that's the difference between primitive and non-primitive data type. Now let me move on to the next part. This is the data type tree structure. So you see, data type, we have two different types called primitive and non-primitive. In primitive, we have numeric and Boolean. And then numeric can be then categorized to integral and character. In integral, we have integer, byte, short, int, long. And then we have floating point, float, and double. And in the non-primitive, we have string, array, etc. Okay, that is basically a tree structure for data types. Okay, so why many data types? I have explained that to you, that there are different ranges for different data types, and that's the reason why we have the data type, same data type to store integer, but there are 4 different data types to store same integer, right? Because of your requirement, you will basically choose the right data type, right? So we have seen that part. Okay, let's move on. Any questions so far? Whatever we started from the beginning of the class, do we have any questions? Okay. Okay. Yeah, Ashish, obviously you have to practice. So where we need some help. Okay. What about Liliana, Shantanu? Good. All right. So let's move on to the next slide here. We'll talk about operators. Okay. What are operators? So Java provides these operators to manipulate variables. Okay. So there are different type of operators that we will be seeing: arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators, pre and postfix operators, assignment operators, and ternary operator. Okay, these are different type of operators that we need to know, because in our usual Java programming or any kind of programming, all these operators are very much required to perform different type of manipulation. Okay, so let's see what we have. Arithmetic operator, very simple stuff. We have a main method here. There are 2 different variables called int a and b, and there is a result variable called 0, which has the value called 0, right? So when we actually add a plus b, the result will be 15. We know that, and we are going to basically print the value. I'm going to actually run this program so that you understand what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to just go back to my Eclipse, and we have Java basics. Data types, totally fine. I'm going to create a new class. I'll say test operators, right, with the main method. And that is that. I'm going to create 2 different variables here. I'll say int num num a equals 10, int num b equals 20, and int result, because if I am trying to work with two different integers, it is likely that the result will be also an integer. So result equals 0. I'm setting that value to 0. So this is basically an assignment operator. You will know about this in a while, where you're assigning a value to the variable called num a, right? So once I have that here, I can just say result equals num a plus num b. Very simple stuff. And then I want to print the value. Okay, I can say sysout, and then I can just say result. I can actually give some text to it. The result, or the summation of plus. So this plus here is used as a concatenation operator. Concatenation means you're adding integer or any kind of variable to a string, or you're adding two different strings. How will you do that? You will basically concatenate using a plus sign, right? So the summation of num a plus and plus num b plus is plus result, right? This exactly, what's with that guy here, plus. So what I did here is I just created a simple string. This whole printout will basically give me a string that will have these values in between. Let's run this. Run as Java application and say okay. And then you see the summation of 10 and 20 is 30, right? This is called as concatenation operator, which basically adds additional information to a string. That's it. Okay. I will ask you something now. You saw this result, totally fine. I'm going to ask you a question now. Sysout, and I will say the result is plus num a plus num b. Okay, I'm trying to add num a and num b, and I'm trying to get the result straight away here. Okay, it's the same way, right? Do you guys think that it will run or it will not run? If it runs, will it give me the right value or wrong value? Anybody can answer.
It will just print the value of num a and num b.
Right. Why is that?
It's we are just stating to print the values of num a, and there is no operation is done like addition.
But here is the operation happening, right?
It's concatenation of the string or the values. It works. It is not addition here.
Okay, how can I make an addition then?
It is done in result, like num a plus num b is equal to result. That's how we can do.
That is fine. That is fine. What other option?
No, I don't know.
So Pavan, I'm asking that what is the result of this particular line number 12? This line number 10 gave me the result, which is the summation of 10 and 20 is 30. We understand that, no problem. But what is the result?
The result is 1020. That's how it gets printed.
Yeah, but why?
Because if you are adding using plus without having the string, like the result is, if you don't have the string, it acts as a additional operator. But if you are adding plus after this kind of a string, the result is it acts as concatenating operator.
So in the same line, how can you fix that? How can you make it work as an additional operator?
By using this brasses, like
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what you have to do is you have to add a bracket here, and that's it. When I use a bracket here, I'm saying it's a simple understanding of mathematics. You must be knowing about BODMAS, right? So bracket comes first. So with the bracket that comes first, this portion will be computed first, and then it will be printed. So let's run this now, and that's where I get the value as 30. Simple, right? Good stuff. So that's the concatenation operator. Let's move on to the other guys. We have. I'm not going to write them because it's pretty simple. I want to complete other stuff. So it says result equals to a minus b, a multiplied by b, a divided by b, and a modulus b. Okay. What is modulus? Modulus is basically giving you the result as the remainder. When you're dividing the value, let me go back to my Eclipse. I should have print modulus. So let me copy this part. And I say the modulus is what? Modulus, this guy, right? So num A modulus num B, okay? If I actually run this, we should get the result as 0. Remainder is 10. Why is that? Yeah, because it's 20, right? 10 to the 10 to 10 was 10, and then remainder is 10. That's right, exactly. Right? So for example, if I just give the value as 5, and if I get the value as 2, the remainder will be 1. 2 to the 4, I should give 1, right? Why it is giving me 2?
Oh, it's num A divided by num B, when the remainder will be like the 2 only.
My bad. I'm giving this. Okay. I thought I kept it like this. True here. So now if I run this, yeah, that's it. Similarly for the array, it was 10 and 20. It should give me 0, right? So you're basically you're getting a remainder with when you're dividing one value with the other value, the modulus operator gives the remainder, right? That's pretty much about it with the arithmetic operators. Rest of them you can easily figure it out from the code itself, what exactly I'm trying to do. Simple addition and multiplication, okay? Next we have relational operators, okay? Relational operators basically gives you the result as true or false. Simple. So I'm initializing the value as 10 and 5, and then the Boolean, I'm creating a Boolean result because I know relational operator will always give me a value as true or false. So if I say result equals to A double equals B, which means you're just trying to say if A is actually equals to B or not. You're just trying to check that. This will give me false. This is a relational operator. Okay, it's called equals. When you say equals to, it basically says equals A equals B, that is false. A not equals B, that is true. A greater than B, that is true. A less than B, that is false. A greater than equals to B, sorry, it's greater than equals to B, it is true, and A less than equals to B is false. This is called relational operator. You need these understanding because when you start writing actual Java program, you will see that depending on what the result is coming up, okay, you will be able to compute, or you will be able to manipulate your program accordingly. So suppose you are getting two different value from two different sources, and you're checking that if these two values are same, then you want to work on a specific section. If it is not, then you will do work on a specific section. So this relational operators works with something called as if. I will talk about if later on. I'm just giving you some understanding of what is relational operator, and later on I'm going to use relational operator with if, because that's where relational operator actually starts working. Let's move on to the logical operator. Okay, again, it is a little bit more complex. So here what you are doing is you are evaluating two different, just give me 1 minute. Sorry, is it audible now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I think I got in mute. So here you see that there are two different relational operator section. One is A equals B. So A is 10, B is 5, simple thing. If A equals B and A equals 10, if both these conditions are true, only then the whole evaluation will be a true. If it is not, then it is false. That is what is happening here, because A equals B, that is not true, because A is not equals B. A is 10, B is 5. So A is not equals B, and A equals 10. Yes, that is true. But if both of these are true, you are using an AND operator in between. If both of these are true, only then the whole evaluation will be coming to you as a true, else it will be false. Let's look at the next one. A equals B, obviously it is false, but A is equals to true, and in between you are using two pipe sign, which is working as a OR operator. So you're saying either the left hand side is true or the right hand side is true. Either of the side, if it is true, then the evaluation of this whole section will be a true. Similarly, if the whole section here, if you are adding a not or exclamation just before the whole section, it will be converted to a my bad. This is wrong. This is wrong. This will not be false actually. This will be true. Why? Because A equals B. Oh no, wait a minute. No, I'm right. This is an OR sign. So here A equals B, A equals B or A equals 10. This will result to a true, and you are adding a not before the true, which is a false. Can you tell me if you understood this section? If not, I will explain that to you by writing a code. Okay. No problem, Ashish. That's fine. So let's get into a code. I'm going to, this is called operators. That's fine. I'm going to just start working with the logical operator. So you just understood the relational operator, like greater than equals to, less than equals to. You understood that part, right? Okay. So if you have got that, then let's talk about logical operators. Logical operators. So ideally, there are these guys saying and we have or and we have not. There are three different logical operators. Okay, when I say and, it means the left hand side and the right hand side of a equation needs to be true. Okay, if left hand side and right hand side is true, then only the and operator or the evaluation will be considered as a true. If either left hand side or right hand side is true, only then it is considered to be true. So and or are two different operators. When both the condition in case of and is true, left hand side and right hand side, only then the evaluation is considered to be a true. Similarly, in case of your left or right, left hand side and right hand side, if any of the left hand side or right hand side is true, then the evaluation is considered to be true, right? So I'm getting some questions. Let's see. Okay, how much more remains? Pavan, okay, we are already exceeded the time. Do you want me to complete the operators? I'm not sure if we will be able to complete it or not. We have pre and post fix, we have assignment, and we have ternary operators. So it will take a few more minutes to complete these three, at least.